Have you ever wondered why some families have, say, 10 kids, while others just have one or two? It's a really interesting question, and it gets right to the heart of how different societies work. So today, we're going to dig into the surprising forces that shape one of the most personal decisions a family can make.
So you see this huge difference, right? A family of 10, a family of 3. What's really going on here? Is it just what people feel like doing? Well, not really. As you're about to see, there are some powerful and actually pretty predictable forces at play. And these forces don't just shape families, they shape entire countries. At the end of the day, it really boils down to a powerful mix of two big things: money and culture. Think of it like this: economic needs and cultural values are deeply connected, and together, they basically create the blueprint for family life in any society. Okay, let's dive into this. We'll start with the economic logic behind it all. For a lot of us, this part might feel the most straightforward, because it often comes down to a kind of cost-benefit analysis. Okay, just look at this comparison. It shows two completely different worlds, right? On one side, in a rural farming setting, children are basically an economic asset. They provide labor that's essential for the family's survival. But then you look at an urban, developed setting, and the whole script just flips. Children become an economic expense, and a big one at that. And that high cost is a huge reason you see smaller families. Let's just stick with that farming family for a second. Imagine your entire life depends on what you can grow on your land. In that case, having a lot of children isn't just about tradition. It's a straight-up economic strategy. More kids mean more hands to help with planting, harvesting, and getting food to the market. It's a direct path to survival and maybe even a little bit of prosperity. But what happens when technology gets involved? Things like crop rotation or better irrigation systems can totally change the game. They can make a farm way more productive. And with better tools and techniques, you just don't need as many people to do the work. Suddenly, that economic reason for having a huge family starts to fade away. And this brings us to another huge economic point: retirement. Think about it. In places without national social security programs, who's your retirement plan? Your kids are. They are the ones who will support you in your old age. But in countries that have state-funded programs, that responsibility shifts from the family to the government. And the result? Well, those programs are paid for by taxes, and higher taxes can make it that much harder to afford a big family. Okay, but hold on, because money isn't the whole story. Not even close. Even when the financial reasons for having a big family change, you've got these deeply ingrained cultural beliefs that can keep things going the way they always have. So let's look at how culture provides its own powerful blueprint for family life. So here's the crucial thing to understand. For millions and millions of people, deciding how many kids to have isn't an economic calculation at all. It's guided by deeply held spiritual beliefs. These values, whether it's about growing the faith community or fulfilling what they see as a divine command, can really encourage larger families, totally separate from any financial pros and cons. And you can actually see this impact when you look at different countries. In places like Israel or Brazil, where religious traditions that encourage large families are really strong, birth rates tend to be higher. It's a perfect example of how cultural values can create this powerful momentum towards having more kids. All right, now let's turn to what is probably one of the single biggest factors in all of this: the role and the status of women in society. This one area is where economics, culture, and personal choice all come together in a really profound way. These four things right here, they are incredibly powerful clues for predicting family size anywhere in the world. If you see a shift in any one of these areas, you'll almost always see a change in that country's population growth. They're that connected. And this chart really just spells it out. There's this super clear and consistent pattern we see all over the globe. As women get more access to education and careers, the average family size tends to go down. And it makes perfect sense, right? More education often means women build careers and start families later in life. And it's a very similar story when you look at the average age of marriage. It has a direct impact on birth rates. A later marriage age just naturally shortens the time a woman is likely to have children, which usually means fewer kids per family and a lower birth rate for the whole country. So this is a really, really important connection to grasp. Empowering women with education, with career choices, with access to family planning, it doesn't just improve their own lives and strengthen economies. It also has this major stabilizing effect on global population trends. It's a game changer. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground. Let's boil it all down to the key takeaways. If you only remember three things from our time together today, make it these three.
Think of these as your three main tools for understanding population pretty much anywhere in the world. By asking these three simple questions about any country or any community, you can get a really clear picture of why their families look the way they do.
And that leaves us with a big question to think about for the future. As the world keeps changing, which one of these three forces, economics, culture, or women's empowerment, do you think is going to have the biggest impact on family size going forward? The answer to that question is going to shape not just the families of tomorrow, but really the future of our entire planet.